Dunlap School District 323 Activities Code meeting for the 2020-2021 school year. My name is Katie Caslett, and I'm the Athletic Director at Dunlap High School. This meeting will outline the policies and procedures that guide our extracurricular sports and activities. We ask that each student athlete and their parent watch this meeting prior to participating in extracurricular activities during that school year. For the high school student athletes, you will sign off that you have watched this meeting during the athletic registration process. This is something that you must do prior to receiving your gold card, which clears you for participation in extracurricular activities.
Attendance at the middle schools. It is preferred that students be in attendance for the full day. Students who are ill must be in attendance for at least 1/2 day or 3.5 clock hours in order to participate in any school activity that evening. Emergencies or pre-approved absences are the only exceptions. High school attendance procedures. It is preferred that students be in attendance for the full day. If their reason for absence is because of illness, the student must be in attendance for at least 4 consecutive clock hours during the school day. If not present, the student may not participate in an event or practice that day. If a student is absent all day because of illness, he or she may not attend any school activity that evening. Exceptions to the rule are emergencies or planned absences through the office. Permission will be granted for special reasons such as funerals, doctor or dental appointments, college visitations. Eligibility at the middle schools. In accordance with IESA policy, students participating in extracurricular activities must be passing each subject each week to be eligible. For fall sports, the first eligibility check shall be made following the first full week of attendance at the beginning of the school year. During the succeeding weeks of the school year, the eligibility check shall begin the week prior to the first contest in an activity. The eligibility check will be each Friday and will determine the student's eligibility for the following Monday through Saturday. During shortened weeks, eligibility will be checked on the last day of student attendance that week. For the first week of the third quarter, first semester grades will determine eligibility. When a student is ineligible, the student may not dress for games but may attend. The student may still participate in practice. After 4 weeks of failing the same class, the student will be removed from the team. Eligibility at the high school. Participation and attendance at school-sponsored activities is encouraged. There are basic attendance and academic standards students must meet in order to participate in or attend these activities. These standards are the minimum requirements of the Illinois High School Association for all IHSA-sanctioned activities. In order for a student to compete in any high school athletic contest, his or her name must appear on the eligibility list. This list is compiled by the athletic director and principal, and only students who are eligible under IHSA rules and regulations are listed. In an effort to be fair to all students and to increase pride and responsibility in all who participate in school events, we have set the following minimum standards for all students who wish to participate in any public activity. Grades will be checked at the end of each week during the fall, winter, and spring sports seasons. This grade check will determine the eligibility for the following week. A student must be passing 5 subjects to be eligible. All subjects, including band, chorus, driver education, and physical education, will count towards a student's IHSA eligibility. If a student does not pass 5 solid subjects per semester, he or she will be ineligible for the following semester. It is important that information and concerns about the extracurricular programs proceed through a logical level of authority, referred to as the chain of command. Problems may be resolved at an initial level and would not need to progress further up the chain of command. Students and parents are advised that they should first address their concerns with the coach of a particular program. If they are unable to resolve the issue at that level, they may then progress further up the chain of command, going to the athletic director and then to the principal. Any student participating in extracurricular activities are doing so as a representative of Dunlap High School. Therefore, all students are expected to represent themselves and Dunlap schools in a respectable manner. The following guidelines of conduct should be applied. Dress appropriately for all activities. No bickering or arguing with opposing players, spectators, officials, or coaches. No profanity. No arguing with officials. When leaving the field or floor as a result of a substitution, hustle to the bench. Hustle and exert best effort at all times. When not in the game, all players must give their attention and loyalty to those players in the game. Do not be a braggart in victory. Accept defeat humbly and without excuse. Transportation from games. For the middle schools, any parent who wishes to transport his or her child home from a game must sign them out in person with the coach. If a parent would like for their child to ride home with another parent, a note must be provided to the coach prior to arriving at the contest site. For the high school, when we play away from home, you must go to and return with the team unless other arrangements are made with your coach in advance.
The Dunlap School District does require an activity fee to participate in certain sports and other programs. This activity fee is $90 and is a one-time fee. This is to participate in all IHSA and IESA activities, our music programs, and in specific clubs. This activity fee is required in order to try out or to start practice or participation. In order for a high school student to participate in athletics or activities, they must obtain their gold card. Your gold card is your ticket to get into tryouts or practice. You will give your gold card to the coach on the first day of tryouts. You will not be able to try out without having a gold card. Gold cards can be picked up in the high school athletic office. In order to obtain your gold card, you must have all your online paperwork completed, your $90 activity fee paid, and you must have turned in an up-to-date physical in the athletic office. Once we have received all of those things, we will give you your gold card to take to your coach.
In order for a student to realize his or her full potential, they must commit to a lifestyle which promotes physical and mental fitness. Therefore, the following activities code has been established to guide students who represent Dunlap in extracurricular activities, clubs, and organizations. Once a student enters middle school and high school, the code is in effect. This code is in force through all 12 months of the year. An activities participant shall be disciplined if he or she commits any of the following violations, regardless of the time of year or whether they are on or off school grounds.
Use of, possession of, or distribution of alcohol, marijuana, or any illicit drug, or abuse of prescription drugs. The use of or possession of any tobacco, nicotine, jewel, or vaping product. Theft or vandalism of any school or personal property. Acts of inappropriate conduct in which the student is involved, such as attending or participating in a fight, physical or verbal abuse of students, school personnel, contest officials, contestants, coaches, or spectators.
Any activity that may detract from the image and standards of your Dunlap school may result in a penalty. Being in the presence of illegal use of drugs and alcohol. An activity code violation to the above 6 areas will be substantiated by reports from district staff, reports from law enforcement officials, or as a result of self-admission. If a violation appears to have occurred from the information received, the student will be questioned by the principal or assistant principal. A meeting may also be scheduled with the student, his or her parents or guardians, and principal and/or assistant principal. In either instance, the information received will be revealed and the student will be asked to make a statement as to the accuracy of the information. Parents or guardians are asked to assume the responsibility of insisting that their child be honest and accept the consequences for their actions if they have been improper. Parental support is vital in seeing that their child accepts responsibility regardless of how other students have acted or been disciplined in the past. When a violation has been determined by the administration to have occurred through the use of a police report or self-admission, there will be a meeting of the activities board, which is comprised of the principal, assistant principals, athletic director, and coaches or sponsors. The facts will be presented by administration, and after discussion with all individuals present, a decision will be made as related to any disciplinary action that might be appropriate. A mandatory presentation of the activities code must be viewed by the parent and athlete prior to beginning the first sports season. Students will not be allowed to practice or try out for a team unless the presentation has been viewed by the parent and student. Disciplinary action. If a student violates the activity code during a season in which he or she is participating, they will be suspended from the activity for 1/3 of the season. They will not receive an award and will not be allowed to attend the awards ceremony. A season is defined as the first official practice day through the awards night for the season. If a student is found to be in the presence of illegal use of drugs or alcohol, the student will be suspended for 1/4 of the activities games scheduled. If a violation occurs in season and at least 1/3 of the regular scheduled events remain, the student will be suspended for 1/3 of activities or games scheduled. If a violation occurs in season with less than 1/3 of the regular season events remaining, the student will be suspended from all remaining regular and postseason events. This suspension will then be carried over to the next activity in which he or she participates until the penalty has been satisfied. If the student violates the activity code while out of season and it is a first offense, suspension from the next activity for 1/3 of the regular season contests will occur. The student will begin practice and continue to practice through the suspension. They will not be allowed to dress or participate in contests, but would be required to be on the sidelines dressed in appropriate street clothes. If a student has a second violation of the activities code within 1 calendar year of the first, the student will be suspended from all activities for 1 calendar year from the date of the second infraction. Something to note, students currently under activities code penalty will be held to conditions of that penalty. Any student who feels that the activities board made an incorrect decision has the right to appeal the decision to the superintendent of schools. Dunlap High School has an extracurricular drug and alcohol prevention program. This program is maintained in order to foster the health, safety, and welfare of all the students at Dunlap High School. In addition, DHS may offer educational programs to students and families, which may include student and parent assemblies and clubs such as Snowflake and Snowball, whose mission is to address substance abuse and promote healthy lifestyles. Dunlap High School counselors also serve as a resource to students and families through the suggestion of agencies that address substance abuse.
Lastly, throughout the school year, the athletic director or designee will randomly select 20 to 25 extracurricular participants, including club membership and parking permit holders for drug and alcohol testing. The random selection will be conducted by the testing agent.
All students will be offered a component of the program referred to as Safe Harbor. A student is eligible for Safe Harbor when he or she refers himself for voluntary evaluation and treatment for alcohol or drug problems. Students are eligible for the Safe Harbor component once throughout their high school career. A student is not eligible for Safe Harbor after he or she has been informed of an impending drug alcohol test or after having received a positive finding on a Dunlap drug or alcohol test, or are in the student discipline process for drug and alcohol violations. A student may remain in Safe Harbor for 6 weeks. A student must be administered a drug alcohol test at the end of the Safe Harbor component at the parent-guardian expense. The student will then be placed back in the random pool for drug and alcohol testing upon completion of Safe Harbor. Students' requests for entry into Safe Harbor and placement into Safe Harbor will be kept confidential. Any parent, guardian, and their student who is involved in extracurricular activities, including club membership and parking permit holders, must sign a consent form that allows drug and alcohol testing. Students will receive a note during their first hour of class notifying them that they have been selected for the random drug test. Students may then contact their parent or legal guardian if the student would like them to sit in and observe the testing process. If, for whatever reason, the student needs to leave the building prior to the scheduled testing time, then the student must see the school nurse to provide a sample. Failure to comply results in the same consequence as a positive test result and counts as an extracurricular code violation. If a student refuses to take a test when randomly selected, the student shall be considered to have received a positive result, and the consequences of such will be invoked. Drug and alcohol testing will be performed by testing of hair sample. Upon being selected for a hair analysis test, the student shall provide a sample of hair according to the quality control standards and policy of the laboratory conducting the hair analysis. The athletic director or designee will accompany the student until he or she produces an adequate hair sample to the school nurse. The laboratory conducting testing has alternative procedures in place for any hair sample it deems inadequate. A student will be ineligible for all extracurricular activities for 1 calendar year if he or she tampers or cheats during the collection. This will be reported to parents or guardians. Immediately after the hair sample is taken, the student may return to class with an admit slip or pass with the time they left the collection site. Each hair sample is given to the laboratory for testing alcohol, marijuana, amphetamines, cocaine, opiates, synthetic opiates, PCP, and steroids.
Or designee will be notified of a student testing positive. The athletic director or designee will notify the student and his or her parents or guardians. In addition, a medical review officer will contact the parent or guardian to discuss the findings and inquire about possible prescriptions that may have led to a student testing positive.
The student or his or her parent or guardian may submit any documented prescription or explanation of a positive test result. In addition, the parent or guardian may request that the same hair sample be tested again by our testing agent at the parent or guardian's expense. Students will be suspended from all activities pending the retest of the sample. If the test is verified positive, The building principal or designee will meet with the student and his or her parents and guardians. The student and parents and guardians will be given the names of counseling and assistance agencies. If a student refuses to take a test when randomly selected, the student shall be considered to have received a positive result, and the consequences of such will be invoked. If a first positive result is obtained during the student's attendance at Dunlap High School, the student will have parking privileges revoked for the remainder of the quarter they tested positive and the following quarter, and they will be suspended from the activity, game, competition, event, or club activity for 1/3 of the season. If a second positive result is obtained within 1 calendar year from the first, the student will have parking privileges revoked for the remainder of the school year, and the student will be suspended from all activities, games, competitions, events, or club activities for 1 calendar year from the date of the second infraction. If a third positive result is obtained within 1 calendar year from the date of the second infraction, the participant shall not be allowed to participate in extracurricular activities, including club membership, for the remainder of his or her high school career, and will have parking privileges revoked for 1 calendar year. Students who test positive must be administered a drug-alcohol test at the parent or guardian expense prior to reinstatement of extracurricular activities. If a positive result occurs in season with less than 1/3 of the regular season events, competitions, or club activities remaining, the student will be suspended from all remaining regular and postseason events. This suspension will then be carried over to the next activity in which he or she participates until the penalty has been satisfied. If the student is involved in more than one activity at the time of a positive result, the applicable suspension will apply to each activity. Under this policy, the district will pay for all initial random drug tests. A request for a retest of a positive hair sample is the financial responsibility of the student's parents or guardians. Counseling and subsequent treatment by non-school agencies is the financial responsibility of the student's parents or guardians. Information on a verified positive result will be shared on a need-to-know basis with the student's coach or sponsor. Under this drug testing program, no staff, coach, or sponsor shall divulge any information to anyone about a particular student or disposition of the student involved, other than in response to a legal subpoena. Positive results will not be disclosed to law enforcement authorities. The results of a negative test will be kept confidential. Results sheets will be locked and secured in a location to which only the building principal or designee will have access. Apart from this drug testing program, the Illinois High School Association, as well as each activity's coaching staff or sponsor, may have their own rules and requirements. Coaches and sponsors have the necessary authority to enforce those rules. Any student participant who violates a team or activity rule or requirement is subject to the consequences as defined in those rules and requirements. This concludes the Activities Code meeting. Please make sure that you fill out all the required paperwork and turn it in to the office so that your student is able to participate in extracurricular activities. Thank you and have a great school year.